Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on the Game Boy Advance is perhaps the most accurate port of a relatively modern console game on the GBA that I've ever seen. It's kind of incredible the amount of detail and faithfulness to the original they managed to cram into this game, given the limitations of the GBA. But even more incredible is the amount of dedication that the team making this game had to recreating every detail of every level of the original. Sure, the camera perspective has changed to an isometric view, and the game certainly looks like garbage by modern standards, even compared to the original PlayStation version. But if you take a level from that PlayStation version and you put it side by side with the GBA version, you'll notice some differences for sure. Secret areas are often unlocked in slightly different ways, for example. But if you want to know exactly where to go to find all the skate letters in Hangar, you'll find them all in the exact right place. Even the controls work surprisingly well, given the GBA's very limited number of buttons. You can't pull off quite as many tricks easily, but the ones you already know the combos for more than likely work the exact same as they did on PlayStation. Down, left, and a button together is still a Benihana on the GBA. So making the jump from the console version of Tony Hawk 2 to the portable version is far easier than one would expect. There are some problems with that isometric view, though. Items that are above you can be quite problematic, for example. They tried to solve the problem by having shadows underneath any floating objects like skate letters or tapes, but it can still be difficult to try and determine exactly which angle you should be taking in order to reach the object. Despite my appreciation for their dedication to making these levels almost exactly the same as the PlayStation versions, this is one area where I wish they would have made some slight adjustments, moving the items to places that are easier to reach on the GBA. So, sure, at the time, Tony Hawk 2 on the GBA was very impressive technically, and a whole lot of fun to play, and that latter part hasn't changed. But the fact is, these days, you could play the full PlayStation version of Tony Hawk 2 on the go pretty easily. So, why would you play the GBA version? I think Tony Hawk 2 on the GBA is still interesting now because of the path forward that it could possibly present. It seems pretty crystal clear at this point that the major publishers of the world have very little to zero interest in making any more skateboarding games. And so now the genre has fallen into the hands of much smaller development studios. The problem is that making these full 3D skateboarding games like the old Tony Hawk or Skate games is extremely time consuming. But transitioning to a format like Tony Hawk 2 on the GBA has a lot of promise to it. An isometric camera, perhaps with some sharper, more modern models and a controller with more buttons on it, could be fantastic. Tony Hawk 2 on the GBA demonstrates that this sort of game is still a lot of fun in this format, and I would love to see someone modernize the idea of the isometric skateboarding game. On my retro reviews, I take a look at games that are at least 10 years old, what I would consider to be retro, and I see if they're still worth playing now, if they've held up today. If you like that idea, be sure to subscribe so you can see the latest videos. If you liked this review in particular, be sure to hit that like button, and thanks for watching.